Chapter 18. Sunday late morning. Once inside and seated at the kitchen table with the back door wide open for a breeze and the tea kettle on, Doreen started with the bowl of goodies she'd collected from Nan's coats, including the earrings and the opal. Nan smiled at the sight of them. "They are just as lovely today as they were when I was given them," she said with a tiny smile. "And maybe down the road, you could have that opal set into a pendant for yourself." "Maybe," Doreen said doubtfully. But she really didn't know what to do with it, for now. "Now what about those boxes?" Nan asked, once again showing that monetary things no longer mattered to her. She was much more interested in the mystery boxes. Shifting the bowl of pocket contents off to the side, Doreen unloaded the box of love letters. Nan cried out in joy. "Oh my, nobody does this anymore, do they? It looks like herbs or maybe dried flowers are tucked in between some of the letters, too." Doreen smiled. "From a romantic period that's now a bygone era." "Oh, a lot of romantic things still remain in this world," Nan said with a big smile. "But this is lovely to see." A pile of paperwork was on the bottom. Doreen pulled that out and stacked them, then laid it all on the table. "That's what's in this last box," Doreen told Nan. "And what about the other boxes?" Nan asked. "Before we start into this, maybe I could see some of the other things." Doreen led Nan to the living room, where the remaining 5 hope chest boxes were, as Nan stopped to gaze around. "Oh my. Right?" Doreen said with a chuckle. "And the upstairs is almost as barren as this first floor. I imagine it looks a little different than when you lived here." Nan's mouth was still open when they walked into the dining room and all the way around to the laundry, kitchen, and back through into the living room again. "I don't think I've ever seen it like this." "Only when you moved in, probably." "No," Nan said. "The people before us had been renting. I think they moved out and left a bunch of furniture behind. We had a heck of a mess getting rid of that so we could get our stuff in." "We?" Doreen asked delicately. Nan sent her a saucy look. "Well, it's my house, but I haven't always lived here alone, you know." Doreen rolled her eyes. "Do you know anything about the history of the house before you bought it?" "There was something sad about it," Nan said, pondering. "But I don't remember the details. I'm wondering if the sad about it part is this person with the hope chest. Although it's from much earlier." Doreen opened one of the boxes and unwrapped one of the tea sets. Nan sat down beside her and held out a hand. Then she cradled the delicate china and whispered, "It's beautiful." "I know. I'll have to unpack everything and take photos of it. I've never seen a pattern like that." "Neither have I," Nan said. "It's quite unique." Doreen carefully opened something from every one of the boxes, and Nan shook her head. "This is definitely from a long time ago," Nan said. "I wonder if it's a granddaughter or a great-granddaughter that hung on to it. Maybe thinking she could use some of it for herself. Or it was a family member that didn't quite know what to do with it, and shoved it all up in the closet so they didn't have to be bothered," Doreen said. "Where did you find it all?" When Nan got up to her feet, Doreen walked to the closet where the birdseed had been sitting all that time, and pointed to the in the ceiling up above. Nan stared at it nonplussed. "I don't think I ever saw that hatch before." "All 6 boxes came out of there," Doreen said. "But nothing else was there. I had Mac take a look." "Mac again, huh?" Nan asked in a cheeky voice. "Yes, he's been very helpful," Doreen said firmly. Just then, the tea kettle whistled. "Let me go make the tea." Privately, she thought it was such perfect timing. The last thing she wanted was to get into a discussion about Mac with Nan. It was liable to lead to more than Doreen wanted to discuss. Tea made, they returned to the kitchen table and sat there. Nan undid one of the bundled letters and read through them all. "These are early on," she said. undying confessions of love and plans for the future. She tied them again and went to the next set. These are similar, she announced. More thoughts of missing each other, some love declarations, and plans to get married. And the last ones? Doreen asked as she brought the teapot over and settled 2 cups on the table. Nan picked them up and said, "Oh dear." Did he ditch her? Doreen asked sarcastically. No. He got very ill. And his last letter said his time was done, and he wanted her to move on. Doreen sat down at the kitchen table with a hard thump. Oh crap. That's very sad. They had some time to visit together, Nan said, but he traveled a lot. And, of course, my mind immediately wonders if he was traveling, or if he had another family, or if he used that as an excuse to get out of something untenable. Oh my, Nan said. You really have to change that attitude. Life is so full of good things. You can't be bitter for too long. It'll stain the rest of your view of the world. I'm not really bitter, Doreen said, but I'm starting to understand more about evil human nature through these cold cases. Plus, everybody lies. That seems to be the bottom line. Everybody has secrets, and everybody lies if it's convenient. Or maybe they finally tell their secrets when compelled to release them from their soul. I hope you're wrong, Nan said as she rebundled the love letters. Then she pointed to another stack of papers and asked, "What have you found there?" Well, Doreen said, it tells me about a group of people. A family tree too, and a birth certificate from way back, and a marriage certificate and sheets from a Bible from the looks of it. That was quite common. They often kept a record of the births and deaths in a Bible. Marriages too. Of course there weren't divorces back then. I know, Doreen said. She flicked through some of the papers, but they were faded and old. It'll be hard to read some of these. When she got a little farther down, she stopped and said, "A death certificate." She pulled it out and nodded. He did pass away. According to the marriage certificate, they were married. How sad, Nan said. Ah, Doreen said, tapping the papers. There's also a birth certificate and a handwritten note about the birth of her daughter, Veronica. The date of the letter is 1901. Doreen paused, then said, so she did have a surviving family. And chances are that woman is no longer alive either, Nan said, because that's well over 100 years ago. Exactly. Is there no mention in the letters that you read about a daughter? Nan shook her head. But she may have found herself pregnant at the end of their correspondence by letters, too. There was one visit where he had to leave again. During that time he was gone, he got sick. So we take the date of that letter and add 9 months, Doreen said. We'd be looking for grandchildren or great-grandchildren now. I'll have to go to the library and see if I can find any records. She went through the rest of the papers and shook her head. Some of this looks like it's been hand-copied and some of it is just faded, but at least we have a date to work from. And I need her last name. The death certificate? Nan asked. Doreen went to the death certificate and nodded. Phillips. Tom Phillips. So now you're looking for Veronica Phillips. Do you know who you bought the house from? Nan shook her head. You should still have a bunch of those documents though. Afraid that she'd missed something, she lifted her head, studied Nan, and then nodded. You mean all those folders I found? Yes. There will be formal documents in some of them. Good, Doreen said. I can take a look at that then. I should probably organize those too. I just put them on the bookshelf in the front closet. I was so busy spring cleaning everything else and thought I was done, but I'm not, am I? She frowned, twisting in her seat to look toward the printer. There were still 4 bundles of folders and paperwork too. I'll have to go through those myself. And you should, Nan said, because who knows what you might find. It could be more receipts for Scott too. And he would like anything and everything we can find, Doreen said. What will you do with the dishes? Nan asked. Doreen shrugged. I have no clue. I guess essentially I'll offer them to the family, if they're interested. Maybe if it was the first or second generation, Nan said, but I highly doubt any of the subsequent generations will want them. Everybody is more interested in short-term now, not long-term. We'll see, Doreen said. It's more of a curiosity than anything. After all this time, there might be a huge family, or there might be nobody. You'll figure it out, Nan said cheerfully. I have the utmost faith in you.